Hi, good afternoon, everybody. One thing I try never to do is finish my presentation 5 minutes before I take the platform, but it's not always possible. So we've put this presentation together to try and distill some of the points that were made in the workshops. Now, for me, I have to say this conference has been a bit of a privilege. The journey has been a privilege. And to learn from the people who've gone before me, from their wisdom, their knowledge, and their stories, I think has been terrific. But the reason for the workshops was to allow us to discuss and debate some of the key issues that may impact or affect or influence our businesses and our culture. So with the facilitators, what we've done is we've tried to take a few lines from each of the sessions, and I'm going to just read those lines. I'm not going to go into any depth, and hopefully the panelists on the next session may take some of this information and some of this information and entwine it into that debate. So the first workshop 1A, was influencing public sector support, and the facilitator was Mark Olson, Stephanie Hawkins. They broke it into two sections, public and private. So in the private sector, they said, lobby the policymaker. Create the opportunity. Keep your message simple and clear. Don't overcomplicate it. Take your weapons. I thought this was an interesting line. Plan the right time, the right people, the benefits. Take out the risk and plan your success. Don't build that risk into your story. Legislation. Research the policy. Understand what you're discussing. Draw a line in the sand. Never give in. I think that's important for all of us. Have a 100-year plan. I suppose that negates the arguments. And be patient. I think in tourism we always have to be patient. When we look at the public sector, build the relationship. Tick the box. Meet the box. I'm not quite sure what that means, actually. Be consistent and listen. One plan, one voice, one in and all in. I suppose it's partnerships. Take a risk. Get the right people and the right strategy. And be flexible. I think this is something, from my personal experience, I think needs to be looked at. And I thought this was cute. Hug a public servant. Okay. So, where's John? Workshop 1B, advantages of working with NTOs and STOs. It was with Rick Murray and Mike Tamaki. And I was in this session, so it's quite vibrant. They looked at marketing v. the development focus, and this was quite important. They were saying joint ventures will spread the marketing budget and raise awareness. I think we all understand that we don't have to do everything ourselves these days. Partnerships will strengthen your message. Associations, networks, and partnerships can strengthen your position. Use the media to tell your story, because media is often very cost-effective. These are cost-effective ways to support your ongoing development. And I think the core line out of here is develop and nurture the right relationships. Workshop 1C, finance and the issue of IP, intellectual property. This was by Graham Patterson, John Graves, and Terry Janke. The issue of finance, there's just a few lines on this. Often the complexity of lending to indigenous companies and structures is prohibitive to the establishment or development of a business. And we see that right the way around the region. I've been involved in the South Pacific quite a while, and it's always the case. There's a need for available funding to set up and support or technical advice. Often, the money needed to actually understand where you're going is the prohibited part of the journey. Intellectual property. The need for protecting the rights of a family story, such as Uluru, which is a family story. And the need for protecting the rights of the name of a place, such as Kokoda. Moving into today, and I've been busily doing this in the back room just a few minutes ago, 2A was the value of integrity. It was by Dawn Casey, and Stephanie Hawkins. And we've had to, as I say, distill some of these lines. We couldn't take everything. Identify your point of difference and find intellectual and emotional connections. And I think the emotional connections are becoming more and more important these days. Tourism can learn lessons from the museum sector, in particular relationships and active engagement. I thought that was very interesting. Communities must decide what to share and what to hold on to, how to combine integrity with commercial profit. The use of the right language, don't use authentic but unique and distinct products. Workshop 2B, Effective Marketing on a Minimum Budget. This is by John Fitzgerald and Stu Lloyd. Traditional marketing. Be the best that you can. I think that's got to be a very important message for all of us. Create connectivity and partnerships. This is a theme that we're seeing more and more. Know your customer. Who are they? Do we know? Research. If you don't have money, that's not don't have money, I've missed the T obviously. If you don't have money, find out who does. And as an example, in Australia, there's a federally funded Indigenous hub which provides back-end and back-office support for you. I wasn't aware of that, something I've just learned. And the Visit Journalist program can be very effective, very cost-effective, and can get your message out on a global basis. Looking at digital marketing, online can provide or can give regional and or remote areas a global presence. It allows you to tell your story. Just as importantly, it allows others to tell their story too. Technology is not a strategy. Don't look at it as a strategy. It's a tool to support your business. And remember, limited funds often drive innovation and creativity. Do that every day in my business. 2C, dealing with the international and domestic operators. This is Ray Stone and Gary O'Riordan. It's important to protect your traditional partners whilst you develop new relationship and distributions. And we see often around the world that people, when they see an opportunity, they often forget who are their supporters and their key supporters, and they will lose that relationship trying to go for others. So make sure it's balanced. You must have multi-channel approach to minimize risk. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Leverage government and or associations for market intelligence, research and insights. Know your market. And that's me. I'm done. There you go. So I hope that's a little bit of food for thought from the workshops that we can take further possibly this afternoon. And once again, I thank you for your participation and for coming back to me as quickly as you did. Thank you very much.
It was a great summary, and thank you everyone for participating and participating and putting the input for those wonderful summary points. And I hope they will be made available to the participants. And just on that point, a lot of people have been asking for copies of the papers of of presentations. And after we clear copyright from the participants and get permission, I understand that the papers will be made available on a website, the PARTA website. We'll let you know for sure which website.